We're going to ask for questions in just a moment, but I wanted to finish with a thought that came up as a result of my having gone through the literature again. The research on local or traditional knowledge is extensive and well published, and if any of you are interested, we'll be more than happy to share with you the bibliography. It's just really huge, and much of the work has been done in other countries, by the way, especially Canada, not necessarily in the United States. In reviewing that literature again, I came across an interesting idea. Adaptive management. I bet most of you in the room know what that is, or somewhat of a definition, because it's come into its vogue here in the state with regard to the master plan implementation. It's a concept that was originally founded by harvesters, traditional ecological harvesters. The reason being is that in the context of the work that they do and the way that they're out in the ecosystem, they're always confronted with uncertainty. And adaptive management is the process of dealing with uncertainty. So what we're finding is a process that TEK experts do with their eyes closed, literally, although they may have their finger in the water to see what the parts per of salt are, is what now we scientists are advocating for the process of implementing the master plan. So we see nothing other than this particular process being the link between the TEK experts and the restoration scientists. With that, please ask us questions. The team is here. The rest of the team is here. Honora, why don't you come up so that you can be part of the questions and answering period. And you've got microphones. We want to hand a microphone out to, well, because everybody will have to use that one. Okay. Right over here. Mm-hmm.
Works pretty good. The first thing I'd like to do is to thank all of you guys for the opportunity to participate in this program. And I really hope that the state sees the value of your study and incorporate it into the master plan. But in addition to that, I saw a lot of words up there and descriptions and new terms, but we have a very simple word that we all know that helps describe this process, and that's wisdom, okay? The word wisdom. The locals have felt for a long time that we have a lot of scientists from out of state, in-state. We have a lot of technology, in-state, out-of-state, environmentalists, everybody. But the wisdom of the locals in knowing how to apply all of this technique and processes, we felt has been missing. So I want to thank you all again. It's an opportunity that I wouldn't have missed for anything, okay? I really would not. The other thing is, me being me, I always think beyond something. So if I were the governor of the state of Louisiana, I would be asking all of the people around me, get these guys to go out there again and have them develop a plan to maintain all of the good work that we do. And that means generating funds. So thinking about funds, you say, well, why do our citizens have to go to Florida to enjoy a beach? Why do our citizens have to go to Texas to enjoy good fishing? So we can, in addition to restore things, figure out a way to give it an economic value. Resorts, mini beaches, and all these other issues, I would like to see that. I'd like to see those jobs for our state, those opportunities for our people, because we know that this is going to affect a lot of people who are involved in the fisheries. So if we can offset that loss with some type of income, I think that would help us greatly. So again, I want to thank you all and hope that the future is a whole lot better because of the work you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Hey, first of all, great work. This is a really cool stuff, the integration of bringing in ecological know-how, putting it with science and GIS is really neat. And one of the things that I'm curious about is larger buy-in, because I think that this kind of knowledge is really vital for us to get projects moving forward, because if everybody isn't agreeing, then we're going to have lawsuits and all kinds of things, and we're going to be slowing down vital restoration. So I guess, do you have a method for going back, because arguably the sample size of 13 is a pretty small sample size, even though you did get more people and then narrowed it down to those 13. Is there any plans or any procedure to go back out to those communities and kind of get a larger buy-in from those communities, saying yes, we agree with what our representatives were saying? Because I think this knowledge was great, but if we can't say this is a generalized voice for these communities, I think we still might have some problems getting this through.
I can answer that a little bit. First of all, I'm loud. Okay. First of all, some people did already see it. So if we're at the coffee shop in Port Sulphur, if other people were looking at the maps and we explained it to the whole process, or we might be at Mitch Jurisich's house and his brother is there. So we did have other people see it, and so we didn't get any negative comments back on the maps that we made. But I would add to that these are very respected people, and we live in a world of representative democracy. And I think that when people see who we've worked with, they trust it, and that's the process. And it was so important to do it that way, community nominated, because then it's not just head of the Shrimp Association or just big business people. We had everybody from one-man operations to really large-scale operations, and so I do think that that it is representative, but we'd be happy to go out and make sure that it was, in an additional project. Want to add anything to that, boss?
Right. You're never going to please everybody, with anything. And this method attempted to get the best people that we could work with, that were the most peer-respected people that we could work with. And so if you're good, like Michelle said, it's a representative democracy, but it is still a democracy.
And I also wanted to add to that we got a lot of feedback from all the people that participated and all the people that wanted to participate. And the only negative feedback I got was from the people who weren't able to participate. They really felt like they had missed out on being a part of the process. But the word of mouth has been very good, and that's part of why we wanted to have these presentations, to help spread that word. But I also wanted to emphasize that this technique could be used in any basin. The issues might have different priorities, and every area would be unique, but the same technique, we were trying to develop it so it could be used to address many different issues in many different areas. And we hope that all of you will grab onto this and consider it as part of your toolkit.
I'm not going to stand up, but I think to kind of add to what your question of reliability of the people that were chosen, they kept approaching me to come do this, and I wouldn't do it. And every time they'd ask somebody, who do you think we need to talk to? And everybody kept saying, you need to talk to Clint. You need to talk to Clint. So finally, I agreed to do it. And I think a misconception of a lot of people outside of the fishing communities, and that's how I like to call it, the local coastal communities, is that we don't give a damn about coastal restoration. And that's not what it is. This is our home. We are very into coastal restoration. At the time they approached me, I was actually sitting on the framework development team to the master plan. So I had that knowledge to bring into it. And the people that were chosen, in my humble opinion, were very qualified and people very knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. So I would thank these guys for doing this, because I thought it was a worthwhile project. At the time that they approached me, I was actually pitching to the framework development team people and the CPRA that this was exactly what was missing from the coastal master plan: local knowledge and local people who are going to be most affected. If you live behind a hurricane protection levee, you're probably going to be affected in the future. But hey, my house has been flooded 3 times, you know. I depend on this Barataria estuary to make my living, as my dad did and my grandfather before him. And who else would you want to talk to, you know? Who else would you want to talk to? And nothing against scientists, but a scientist from East Coast, a scientist from West Coast, or the people who actually live on the land, you know? It's a lot of positives here. I really enjoyed working with these guys. They have been nothing but honest and straightforward with us, and they projected most all of what we gave them, you know, and you could see a lot of it corresponds to the stage plan. So there are a lot of things that match up.
Thanks, Clint.
I just want to clarify that basically what I'm trying to say is I think that this is great, and I just want to make sure that the sample size is robust enough and that there's enough support behind it that it is actually used and not just put on a shelf like so many other reports.
We were right there with you.
And that's what a scientist from New York City would say.
We, close.
I think Michelle and her group did a very excellent job in choosing their representatives. And I don't say this to brag about myself, because believe me, this is a lot of work involved, what I'm going to tell you. But I am on the Oyster Task Force. We are a group of oyster farmers for the entire state of Louisiana, coast to coast, Texas to Mississippi. But in addition to that, I'm on a Farm Bureau committees for environmental, for coastal restoration and environmental matters. And we have about 120,000 members. That represents the whole state of Louisiana. I'm also on Go Fish, the board, which Mr. Klingidry is also. So we represent the community down in Lafitte, Barataria, Crown Point area, and I'm sure a lot of other areas. So we have a lot of friends, and we have a lot of people that come to us, and a lot of people that fuss at us. You know, if we make decisions that they don't find agreeable. So I really want you to know that, yes, you did have a representative situation where we were all represented.
Yeah, and a point about what Danny said is we didn't know all of that they were on all these associations when we were getting the referrals. It's just community nominated. It wasn't picked because they're on these committees.
This is the question that's asked the most of any of this TEK. The concern is that it's just somebody's opinion. Okay. No, but
it's a concern about
so you're representing the concern. Now, we didn't sample a definition of harvester. We sampled a definition of expert harvester. So as you select a population of expert harvesters, those were the ones who were multiply referred. So I would say to you that we have a pretty good size sample of expert harvesters here, okay? So the other option would be to sample the entire, to do a census, list the entire population of harvesters, and then do a systematic sample of every nth, and that's one of the ways to do it. But if you take the experts, our percentage of sampling is quite high. So it is the Achilles heel of this, and we think we did a hell of a good job of addressing it, okay?
And no, we know that you're not questioning us. I'm not sure this is fun.
Thank you. I just want to say I think that's an excellent study, and I think it's well thought out and well executed and very systematic in terms of trying to identify the opinions and the knowledge of people who spend their lives in the marsh. The company I work for, we've advocated that for years, trying to find ways, methods for getting that input recognized and included in the plans that the state has put forth towards restoration. I would encourage y'all, in addition to the work that you're doing, to look at some of the work that's already been done by the coastal zone management committees in coastal Louisiana. Some are more active than others, I believe, but I can point to St. Bernard Parish and probably Plaquemines Parish in some areas. Again, who I would say, while not quite as democratically design. They're appointed, obviously. I think they're appointed for their level of expertise and representation in the community. And for instance, St. Bernard Parish has a master restoration plan that's been adopted by their coastal zone management committee. There's a master plan for Plaquemines, which I'm not sure whether was adopted by their committee or not, but was submitted some years ago. So there's other overlay information, is what I'm saying, from these people, the harvesters, that you can put in with your data, and I think make it that much more robust by the time you take that into account.